Good day and thanks for tuning in again. I really appreciate that. By the way, I try to get to 50k subscribers as soon as possible. If you're new to the channel, I would appreciate if you also subscribe so you will not miss out on any of the future videos. By the way, currently putting out quite a few videos, so make sure to catch up in my timeline in case you missed some. Some of the videos didn't get the traction that others do, so always make sure to have the notifications on. Anyways, now a couple of things I want to talk about this morning. Obviously, we have the Tesla results overnight, and I'd like to connect it to a topic that I was initially going to speak about, which is what the CFO of Mercedes-Benz is telling here. And all of that will be somehow about the hidden or secret recipe for success in the EV industry and the future of the industry. In my opinion, as always, this is my personal views and how I see the industry. First, a couple of things about the Tesla results. I haven't had much time to do a real due diligence and a thorough view on the earnings and so on. However, I saw some of the main takes, which are obviously the bottom line here is that Tesla is more profitable than the estimations by the analysts out there. So that's the good news. And that's also driven not only by the EV margins improvements, but also on some topics that I will now touch on in a couple of minutes around energy and additional services business. Okay, so the good news here is for Tesla investors, and I have to disclose I'm also long Tesla still, despite the fact and I've said so in my recent videos that I have become less bullish about Tesla in the last couple of months based on the pressure that I saw mounting on Tesla in China. So it's more on the China view, but these earnings and the way how Elon Musk is pushing Tesla here tells you they are still leading and they are ahead of competitors in at least the financial metrics in this regard. And you shouldn't bet against Elon. That's just the thing. It's very powerful to see what they're achieving right now. And now to wrap things up here and jump on this other topic, but before I might do a separate video on Tesla earnings if I find the time. What I like to connect this with, the hidden secret here, and I mean why the Tesla results are good news also for NIO stock and the industry in general, is that it shows that a company purely selling EV can be profitable even in an environment where other companies such as Mercedes-Benz are clearly struggling, and they're struggling especially selling EV. Okay, so Tesla is the clear leader here and a role model for how to make that profitable and at scale. And there are some ingredients, for example, big exposure in China and success in China, then the profitability because of unit economics and scaling, and on top of that also what I'm going to speak about now of diversification into a couple of different revenue streams that are going really beyond just selling cars. Okay, now how do I connect it to this news here? What is this news all about? This is a LinkedIn post by the CEO of Mercedes-Benz, Ola Källenius, and in here he is celebrating the opening of a Mercedes-Benz factory, not for car, by the way, this Chancellor Scholz helping him here, celebrating, but this is about recycling of batteries, okay? And this is an achievement that I think shows some courage, and as they celebrate themselves, it shows also their ambitions and their commitments. So far so good. It's showing, and by the way, I've been in contact with many Mercedes-Benz and Daimler employees because of my professional work in China, and I've seen early on that they have been looking into this matter of battery recycling, and I quickly identified it as a potential future revenue business opportunity and such. So they're doing good work, and it's great that they have now opened the first battery recycling factory in Europe. That's all great. However, where I think Mercedes-Benz is lacking behind Tesla, but also even more so behind NIO, in my opinion, is that they have not this holistic, long-term, from-scratch thinking. So they've identified here battery recycling as an issue, and they're acting on that and trying to capture some value in the future there by building this plant and making recycling possible. But what I think makes NIO unique there is the topic, how NIO has thought through this issue from a more systemic business fundamental view. What I mean by that is NIO has clearly outlined the incentives in a way that they can build a closed loop battery recycling system, but a whole battery ecosystem that is different to anything else in the industry. So it's involving battery swap stations, it's involving the cars, it's involving the business around it. And only NIO has this incentive system that, first of all, there's a physical separation between the vehicle chassis and the battery, whereas the industry trend is certainly to glue the battery to the chassis. By the way, also Tesla is a front runner with the structural pack. And I know there are many benefits to the structural pack in terms of less parts, and it's more cost economically. But in the long run, you need to think through where this industry is headed, and the CEO of Mercedes is right so here to pointing out that 96% of the materials of a battery can be recycled. So that's great news, and Mercedes is maybe jumping here ahead even of Tesla, having this recycling in place, and that's great, but it's not really solving the problem that the batteries are glued to the cars and are not easy to extract. So that's involving cost. We see that on the consumer side sometimes. If the battery breaks down, then it's almost costing you as much as a new car to replace it, okay? So this is kind of fixing an issue that is obviously there, but not in a smart means. Whereas NIO, with the battery packs separated physically, but also in a financial way with the BAS service and battery asset management company, but also importantly with the ownership being with NIO, the incentive system lines up that NIO as a company is extracting the resources and the value of the battery packs as much as they can. Whereas if the ownership and the financial burden is with the consumer, then there's really not much value for the OEM there to capture and extract. It's more like solving an issue like, shit, where do we go with all of the battery packs? How do we solve the issue of compliance, of warranty, and of insurance and so on, right? And NIO has, I think, thought this through much more also from the business and ecosystem type of view, and that's where also one should agree when looking at the Tesla earnings. It's one of the ingredients when we see now that the energy part of Tesla is also contributing a lot to the profitability of the company. And having these diverse revenue streams is kind of helping them now in a situation where the whole industry is struggling with sales. There's no growth currently in the Tesla revenues. However, the profitability has become higher. And so that's good news for NIO, as well as NIO is also building the infrastructure out, which of course takes some money. However, they can also capture more value on these assets in the future and will do so. And I think even more holistically and in a smarter way than what the OEMs that are trying to play catch up here with Mercedes-Benz are trying to do. So in my opinion, this shows the importance of the energy part, which at NIO, I have to be honest, it's still in the expense stage. But I argue here on the channel for some time now that investors should actually be looking beyond that. And Tesla proves that this is the secret ingredient of being a modern car EV company, and more than an EV company actually. And so I don't see many examples out there except for Tesla and NIO. That's why I'm really excited about them and their progress, and why I'm investing in them. And if you don't have the infrastructure, if you don't have the energy business on top, then you're really just trying to play catch up like Mercedes-Benz is doing here. And in their case, I think it's also rather on the expense side than on the business side for now. We'll see how that will play out in the future, but I predict that NIO in the segment of recycling batteries and this whole battery loop and battery ecosystem will be coming out as one of the leading players in China and maybe globally. And that's maybe also something which they have to offer the whole industry in the future. Maybe that's why people are jumping on the battery swapping partnerships, and the Western OEMs, they really have to think about if they're gonna join or not. And maybe they can offer something also like the refineries here, which I have to be honest, NIO also doesn't have right now. Okay, so that's how the whole industry is playing out currently in my views, and some puzzle pieces I'm trying to stitch together here. Let me know what you think in the comments, and then maybe I'll catch up with a more thorough view on the Tesla earnings. Thanks for watching.